Hello everyone, and I welcome you all to my channel. So for today we are going to be making a simple video on how to cut a palazzo trousers. Now, what are the basic measurements required for a palazzo trousers? We need our waist measurement, trouser length, round lap, and our flap measurement. Now you observe that we didn't write anything on the flap measurement. Getting the flap is one of the major questions in which beginners or people tend to ask, how did you get the flap, or how will you know how many inches you have to use for the flap? So in this tutorial I'm going to explain to you guys how you'll be able to get the exact measurement for your flap when cutting a trousers or a palazzo trousers. Now I'll advise you guys, in order for you to be able to understand how to cut a palazzo trousers, it is advisable for you to know how to cut a normal trousers, because a normal trousers is just like the foundation for a palazzo trousers. So I have a tutorial on how to cut a male trousers, so I'm going to link that down below at the description bar. So ensure you watch it and understand a normal trousers before you end up with a palazzo trousers. So for today, our waist measurement is 38, trouser length is 45, round lap is 26 inches rather. So our waist is 38. 38 divided by 4, we have 9.5 inches. Now, because I want my palazzo trousers to have an elastic, I'm going to add 2 inches for the elastic. Okay, so if your palazzo trousers is going to have like a rope, you can just make use of 1.5 inches. So because I want mine to have elastic, I'm going to add 2 inches to it. So plus 2 inches for my elastic, I have 11.5 inches. So my trouser length is 45 plus 2 inches for the folding allowance, plus 2 inches for the folding allowance, we have 47 inches. Now our round lap. When cutting a trousers, ensure that your round lap is divided into 2. Why? Because this is your round lap, this is your round lap. So you're only going to take, and when you want to measure for a palazzo trousers, make sure you make the tape measure to be free towards your round lap, because palazzo trousers are always free. So it depends on how free you want it to be and the amount of fabric you are also working with. You shouldn't measure it to be tight when cutting a palazzo trousers. So for me, 26 inches. So plus this 26 inches, I'm going to divide it by 2. Why am I dividing it by 2? Because I'm cutting the front panel different from the back panel. Now for a trousers, you can't cut the front and the back together. Don't try that mistake. You can't cut the front and the back together. Like, you know, when you want to cut for like a gown, a skirt, you can fold it into 4 together. But for trousers or for palazzo trousers, it is advisable you cut the front, so you use the front to cut the back. So because this is the round lap, this is our round lap, we divide it by 2. So divided by 2, we have 13 inches. So I'm just going to make use of 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So I have 14 inches. So how will you get the flap? How will you get the flap? This is the calculation for the flap. Our waist measurement divided by 4. Waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Now our waist measurement is what? Our waist measurement is 38 divided by 4, we have 9.5 inches, plus 2 inches, we have 11.5 inches. So our flap measurement becomes 11.5 inches. So for you to get your flap, it simply means your waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. This is your first time of coming to my channel. If you find this video very informative and very educative, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. Click on that subscribe button and join the family. So my outfits for today, if you love what I'm putting on, and you want me to make a tutorial on this is a short. If you love what I'm putting on and you want me to make a tutorial on it, drop it down below at the comment section and I'm going to make a tutorial about this. So now let's move to the fabric. So this is the front panel. We are cutting the front panel first. This is the front panel, so it's folded into two. Okay, so now let's take our basic measurements. The first one we have is our waist measurement. Our waist measurement is 11.5 inches. So this is it. So this is our 11 inches. I hope you guys can see it. Okay, let me go behind the camera and see if it's actually showing. Okay, yeah, it's showing. So this is 11 inches. So our flap measurement, we said our flap measurement is what? 11.5 inches, right? We said our flap measurement is 11.5 inches. Now, don't forget I said I want this palazzo to have an elastic. This palazzo is going to have an elastic. So I'm going to add my 2 inches for my elastic, because I'm going to fold 2 inches like this. I'm going to fold 2 inches like this for the elastic. So I'm going to add that 2 inches. So instead of me to mark 11.5, I will mark 13.5. Why will I mark 13.5? Because we have 2 inches for the elastic. Okay, don't forget that, because if you mark the exact 11.5 inches, by the time you take away your 2.5 inches, you are going to have about 9 inches, which is going to be very small. So now let's take our round lap. So our round lap is 14 inches. Now, because this is a palazzo trousers, we are not making use of the round foot measurement, because a palazzo trousers is always full. It's always free. So there's no need for you to shape it, to give it like the trousers shape, because it's always free. So you just draw this your line all the way down. If you find this video very informative, very educative, drop your comments down below. Feel free to ask us questions, tell us topics you love us to treat, and we'll treat the topic. Okay, so just feel free to drop your questions down below. So basically, this is what I did. I took my waist measurements, I took my flap measurements, I took my round lap measurements, and I drew the flap. Now note that this flap could either be on the closed side or on the open side. It depends. Some people cut theirs at the closed side, while some cut it at the open side. Whichever way or whichever place you cut it, you are going to have the same result. So after cutting it, this is what you are going to have. This is our waist, this is our flap measurements, and all the way down. So I'm going to set this aside. This is the front panel, don't forget that. So I'm going to fold my back panel into two. I'm going to fold my back panel into two. Join us on Facebook. Sewing is Fun by TG Designs. Make sure you include TG Designs when searching for it on Facebook. So I'm going to leave the details down below at the description bar. So you could also connect with us on Facebook. And if you've learned one or two things from this topic, drop it down below. Drop your experience, your comments down below, and we really appreciate it a lot. So for the back panel, note that for the back panel you are going to add about, okay, let me fold it properly so you guys will be able to understand it. So this is what I did. I placed the front panel on the back panel, right? Now for this flap measurement, for your flap measurement, I'm going to add about 3 inches to my flap measurement. Why am I adding about 3 inches to my flap measurement? Basically, it's because of the buttocks or the bum bum. So for people like us that have a small bum bum, I'm just going to add 3 inches at this point. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let me just adjust it. Okay, I think we are good to go. So at this flap joint, I'm going to add 3 inches to it. So this is for the freeness of the buttocks. So for some of us that have like a very big buttocks, you add about 3.5 inches. That is for those of you that have extra large backside. But if you have like an average backside, a small backside, 3 inches is enough. So this becomes the flap. This is what we are going to have. Let me adjust this like this. Okay, so this is what we are going to have the flap for the back panel. It's not going to come like this. So this is what we are going to have the flap for the back panel. So this is the line where we have the flap. So still maintain this line. So you just draw the flap like this. I hope you guys can understand. Now, another thing I want you to take note of is that the back panel is always longer than the front panel. The back panel is always longer than the front panel with about 2 inches. Okay, I think mine is more than 2 inches. Perfect. The back panel is always longer with about 2 inches. So this is the 2 inches. I'm just going to trim this off like this. So this is about 2 inches at this point. Why is the back measurement longer? Because of the buttons. So when I adjusted it, I had to adjust where the line of the flap is. So the back measurement is always bigger. So when you are coming down at this flap point, make use of the 3 inches. I hope you guys understand it, but drop your questions down below. Now, as it's coming down, you reduce your measurements. Don't forget that at this flap measurement, I made use of 3 inches. As it's coming down, I'm going to come down with about 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. Then I make use of 2 inches all the way down. So you could make use of your 2.5 inches all the way down. You can make use of your 2 inches. Then as it goes down, you make it about 2 inches. 2.5 inches. As it moves down, you make it about 2 inches. But for this flap, ensure that you make use of 3 inches. And if you have a very big size, you can make use of 3.5 inches. The reason for this is that at the end of the day, the underneath your trousers is not going to be tight. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this out and show you guys what it looks like. So after cutting it, this is what we have. So this is what we have. So this is the front panel. This is our front panel. It's opened into 2. So you open it up, you open your front panel, you also open your back panel. So when you want to join it together, you simply take one of the front panel and you join it to one of the back panel. Okay, you join it to one of the back panel. That is, you take one of the front panel to the back panel to give you one leg. So this becomes like a leg. So this becomes, let me show you guys. So this becomes like a leg, while this gives you another leg. So if you find this video very educative, please kindly subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions concerning this topic, drop it down below at the comment section. And if you have any topic you want us to treat, you can also drop it down below at the comment section. And don't forget to join us on Facebook. Sewing is Fun by TG Designs. So once again, do have a nice day. Bye bye.